Hey, we are back with some Minecraft gameplay. My Discord screen on. Let's see what's popping in the world. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I needed to get diamonds for rims, I guess, as the title says, suggests. Um, Other than that, really, I have no idea what Emmett's up to. What he's cooking, got the fresh mithril shit on. We're gonna put that in the box for now. Yeah, don't need to be flexing on that. Gonna rock with the what the fuck this guy say? Guess I'm gonna be a mute for a bit. All right. Well, where this guy at? Amit Mamu. What's the wood looking like? What's the crib looking like? I feel like this needs to be higher. Executive decision being made here. Uh, oh, okay. Nope, nope. Is that how we rocking? We're just gonna let it be outside like that. I mean, like not double layered or whatever. Not fucking connecting. Oh, bro. No. Okay. I'm not entirely happy with that. I think it could like use a little border. Unfortunately, we have to make that a reality. Where's my scaffolding? Like 4 scaffolding? Bruh. Hello. Pyro joined the game. Oh shit. Yo, where's this guy at? Hey. What's your skin, bro? What's your skin? What the fuck do you look like that? You're just a normal motherfucker, bro? Who are you? Clothes off. To take your clothes off. Orphan? Oh, okay. Why don't you take your clothes off for me, huh? Turn my Kingsman hate. Watch out for this. Thank you, Sabo. I am. I'm streaming on Twitch, bro. Don't say anything racist. I have no enemies. I gotta move my camera so that I can see the chat. I got you in the mines? I'm not in the mines yet. Don't worry, bro. I gotta wait for this motherfucker to type, bro. Holy. I'm on the phone right now. I can't lie. But that's great, bro. I thought you loved miners. No, not particularly. I would say I am a miner, though. Get in here, buddy. Oh, you can get in here too, bro. This is my crib. That's about it, bro. It's MTV cribs. Pretty empty, unfinished. Unfinished rooftop. Yeah, we gotta look at this shit right here, bro. We gotta file a homeowners association violation on this guy, bro. What the fuck am I looking at, bro? Nah, genuinely, bro. What the fuck is this, bro? Yeah, what the fuck is that shit, bro? Exactly, bro. We're in the goddamn middle of the city, bro, and this guy just decided to build like the fucking ugliest tower, bro. It fucked up my window and like the next floor down, bro. It's like fucking up my shit up here, bro. Absolutely atrocious. We're called the HOA on this one. I'm telling you, bro, we might actually have to do it, bro. And if you do it like legitimately enough, bro, the server might take it seriously because they LARP that hard, bro. What gets Cider up to, bro? Yo, let me ask Cider, bro. Yo, tell Cider, can I file an HOA violation on this guy? Nah, I shouldn't say that. Are you multi-streaming? You mean multi-streaming? Multi-streaming? Very cool, Mad Moon. Oh, why do you say like he's like Donald Trump, bro? He's like very cool Kanye. Thanks, Kanye. Oops. What do you mean am I multi-streaming, bro? Am I multi-streaming? What is that? What does that imply? See, this isn't like a violation, right? This is fine, right? Yeah, alright. I think they're getting along. My villager. That's my frog. Yeah. I don't really have anything to give you. Want some coal, bro? First one I've seen. Oh, shit. Yeah. Really? Really? Yeah. Awesome. Hey, man, are you getting hit in the fucking bushes, bro? Yeah, I've never seen villagers. Oh, I thought you were talking about the sniffer, bro. There's no cruelty in. Oh, this guy went down the fucking thing, bro. Guy went into the Nutty Putty Cave division, bro. Bro is LARPing hard, see. Where the fuck did this guy go, bro? Amit, what are you cooking, bro? Alright, well, I guess I'll leave him to his own devices, bro. Chill down there. I'll go back to what I was trying to do. Was, Steal Duggan's scaffolding. If he has any. Or a string, I guess. If he has any. Um, bro. 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 One string? Bro. Okay. I guess I'm taking this scaffolding. Skim that off the top. Hey, man, bro, what are you doing, man? Clear your screen, bro. Ow. Bro, there's an underground entrance into Guggen's house. Yeah, so here's the thing, bro. There's a lot of things, bro. There's a whole other network of infrastructure down there. Oh fuck, I'm out of fucking. God damn it. Where did you go, bro? How far away did you get? No, actually, I don't think we need towards there. No way, dude. I'm down here? What do you want me to come down there for, bro? Wait 1 second, hold on. I guess I'll put the real armor on. Alright. Bro, I know where this is, bro. Okay, where do you want me to go, bro? Where do you want to take me? You're taking me to the... Okay. 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 What was the point of this? I just walked here on the surface, bro. Hey, man, where are you gonna live, bro? You're gonna put your house, bro. Pick a spot. Where someone can break in. Nah, you can reinforce your blocks and shit, bro. Once you place a block, you can like reinforce it so the motherfuckers gotta break it a lot to get in, bro. I mean, right now, obviously, it's open concept, but it's not like you can open the chest, you know. I don't have anything to I don't have anything to break anything. What? I don't have to break anything to get. Oh well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, sure, bro. But then what? Where are you gonna live, bro? Village. Crazy. You're gonna get a plot, bro. Oh, this is your plot right here, bro. You want this one instead, bro? I'm confused. Surely they won't notice if you just did a little swap-peroo, right? Oh, nice little person, bro. This one's wider. Bro, you counted the blocks, bro? Alright, you got it, bro. That's all you, Chief. I can't hear you, by the way. What do you mean you can't hear me, by the way? Like, this whole time that I've been talking? Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's fine, bro. Does that shit look like ass? Like, it kinda does. Kinda doesn't. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Maybe we need some stairs. Hmm. Yo, damn, this guy fucking took the spot away for the freaking pot, bro. Damn, this guy fucking up my whole shit, bro. My whole symmetry and everything. The fuck? Fuck that guy. New plan. Go overhang. Chat, what do we think? What do we think about the things that we are doing? All right. Um, I'm looking scaffolding back. Damn it, you have to build your house one of these days, bro. I don't know why. I'm just doing goofy shit at this point. Okay. Oh, I want it upside down. No, you fucker. I need one more. Oh. Fuck. I accidentally knocked the microphone fucking filter. Alright. Well, while Emmett's silent and this is happening. So I'll go chop some wood. I don't know. Nope. Does this look like ass? Yes, but you can't tell as much. Hmm. Okay, 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 okay. Okay. Now let me look at it. Okay, yeah, it's okay. It's not horrible. It could be worse at least. Is that really still standing here? Damn, bro. That you cooked up on that phone call. Alright, well, I'm just gonna be in this minecart for a little bit. While I'm doing that, enjoy this ad. I think it's coming up. Is it coming up? I think minecart. Alright, this is first. Unlock this minecart, right? We're almost there, guys. Holy fuck. Taking forever. He's not finished. More trees to I got music for you. Quiet as shit over here. Alright, well. Now we gotta wait for some saplings. Just trading in the chat. Motherfuckers bargaining in the chat, actually. computer boot up. Or what are they even typing in the chat? What could they even be yapping about? My bad, she arguing with me now. I'm gonna hop off. Evan, bro, what did you cook up, man? How do you do these? How do you do these sorts of things? How do you let yourself get to these kinds of situations, bro? From being accused of not listening? I mean, well, hey, man. Do what you gotta do, bro. One of these days you'll be on the game. I might hop on again though. All right, well, let me know, bro. Let me know if you figure it out, bro. I'm gonna leave the Discord call. All right, I guess we're going into the main chat for a bit. Listen to these guys are yapping about.
That's cool though. I mean,
It's fine.
he was still on our land for too long.
Also, yes.
He didn't pearl him, so.
He
Yeah.
literally went horizontal with the border. Like he didn't bother going over the border. So I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't like get out of the boat or just like swim under the fence.
Well, let that be a lesson to you.
Let that be a lesson.
The second time these Eternal Empire people were just like going into here saying, first time yesterday it was by someone saying I'm lost. And
We
then the
better
second
fix it.
time was this guy passing through to the north. Honestly, I think the kill is justified though. Like if this is like
Yeah.
the second
Bye,
time it's happened
Pyro.
in 2 days. So they
They were
shouldn't
here
keep,
earlier?
like... Yesterday, another person was like going like through the you know the little tiny acacia bridge at Fiamata that leads out?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone hopped that. And then as soon as they said they're lost, they turned around and hopped back out of the border.
Ah.
Fuck it. Okay. Right, this thing is meant to like not be hoppable.
Here, come here.
What's up? Need to go to Goombastan.
Just
Oh my
just
God.
break those two
Goomba
once you're over.
We have a Goomba stand.
Alright. Oh, that's why he probably didn't want to get out of a boat because of the ally bastion, because of the bastion thing.
Probably.
So he couldn't like get an easy escape. Alright, I'm going to
I don't know.
Goomba. Oh, Void, where are you? I'm heading to Goombastan, Void. Oh. Oh, he's muted.
Put chords in the chat like a minute ago. I don't know if it was.
Whose is this?
Oh, I'm not even. I'm muted too. That's right.
Pants.
Yeah, I'm not gonna help him now.
Yo, Void.
Void late
What's
as
good?
fuck. Late as fuck.
Oh, Void, I got something for you.
Do you have pants?
I got his pants.
I got
Yo,
his welcome
Void.
book and his baby bastion.
Cider, you think tomorrow you can set up the shops in the nether for for me?
Oh yeah. Do you have like the box and stuff set up for it, or what?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Like I don't have a clue at all. Like I have an idea, but I don't want to fuck it up, so I'm just gonna wait.
An idea,
for
not a
tomorrow.
clue.
I know we need
How
glass
many
and like obsidian
slots?
and shit.
How many
Yeah.
slots do you need? Like different chests?
How many can we make? A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, throw out a number, and I'll be like, yay or like up or down.
I mean, there's like what 10 in our government shop right now.
Okay, let's do like
You want more?
12 maybe.
Okay.
I guess we could always add
Oops.
more, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be likely to be stolen too, so we'll have to like
Yeah.
put an extra layer around that shit. Just because they're so bored in the Nether, there's nothing to go do. You know, you
Right.
find a shop.
Oh no.
You would hope they wouldn't bite the hand that feeds them, though. But
You would hope that's right, but people that are not staying there, perhaps.
it's true.
Yep.
Hopefully the people that are staying there will protect it with their lives.
That's right.
It's
Thank
like a
goodness.
Where was I?
it's a
48.
self-sustaining community.
And
The prisoners will protect against other prisoners.
the Australia
We need to
experiment.
put that on some signs around the establishment.
The
Void, I
prisoners
do have to
must
say,
protect.
you should invest in knockback, bro. I railed the fuck out of him from the back and it shot him to the tree.
Pause.
Hey,
Pause,
yo,
pause,
hey,
Damn.
yo.
Pause.
Pause.
Like
Damn.
I fucking smacked the shit out of him, bro.
Oh no, man, knockback is so ass in my opinion.
I mean, I'm just not good at PvP, so it just gets people away from me. But like,
That's fair.
I want a knockback sword.
I'm ass, and it doesn't help that I get like 20 frames in a good PvP
Oh, yeah.
fight, bro. Like it's ass.
Yeah, that sucks.
It would be useful in Pearl Harbor to knock people into those traps.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey man, put me in, coach. Put me in, alright. Put me in, coach.
You know, it's useful for
We'll
me
have to
when I
do some
only have to hit
practice
them
there at
once.
some point soon.
Oh right, I need to look at the.
I've never actually been.
innards of this
I
thing.
would be interested.
It's fucking huge.
How's this work?
Escalade. Actually, you want to take a trip
seen-
right now? You want to take a trip right now?
I
Escalade?
would love to. Yeah.
What the fuck?
We're gonna go on a boat.
What
Where you
the
at?
fuck? What the
I'm at,
fuck?
Actually, let's go on a horse. You got a horse, right?
I do not
What's
actually.
this?
Mine was slain.
Damn.
Hi.
Go on a boat then.
Oh my god. I'm looking at how
I need to buy
this
another one from Ramon,
works.
but it was slain during the big raid on.
Meet,
That way.
meet me at Goomba Stan.
Where is that?
Destination Goomba
In
Stan.
Goomba.
If I tell it to go to Goomba Stan, it goes.
Go on the rail and type Goomba Stan.
I'm not on the rail, but I think I'm
What's
pretty sure I'm like
this?
right by it.
You probably. Oh yeah, if you're down there, you probably are. You're like right beside it.
Was it 6,800
I
negative
see.
1,000?
Just Goomba Stan.
Oh, this is so cook. So what am I looking at?
6,800.
Trying to figure out the
Yeah.
science of this shit.
Science.
Yeah, the science to this is layers.
A lot of my a lot
It's
of my
fun. It's so much fun.
Oh, I fucked up.
what's the word?
Yeah, if you come
Fucking
with me later, I can.
Oh,
Can you
don't
just give
tip
me
my
a minute?
fucking tongue. We're like, oh my gosh, what's the fucking word?
Alright.
Where like I'm basing my base slightly off of what Pearl Harbor is.
What?
Replicating?
No, it's not the word.
Mimic.
No.
Imitating.
No.
Inspired by.
Inspired!
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Here we go.
Inspired. Holy fuck, it's 11? Oh my gosh, I really. How long does it take to get there?
How long do you have? And I'll tell you.
Maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
Wait, can I
Yeah.
come, Slider?
We can get there in that time, but nah. We'll do it another day. No worries.
Alright, my bad, bro. I did not realize it's 11.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Slider's gonna get a visit.
Fuck no. You can visit the inside of the chest at Pearl Harbor.
Oh.
Damn.
Good night, guys.
Alright.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Alright. I am
Wait,
going to bed
also,
as well.
Marlon's
Good
banned
night.
again.
Again?
That's insane.
Yeah, he's banned again.
For what?
Pretty sure he got banned this time. Multi-account again.
Oh, wild.
His brother joined.
Oh. I see.
He's like begging me to message him.
Why on earth would you beg you of all people?
Nah, cause like I'm his like best friend or something.
Void is the liaison between the band and the,
Oh my
the
god.
Cause
unbanned.
remember back in those good old days, I was like a part of the War Grinders.
He's a medium. He's a medium of sorts. He talks to the dead.
Honestly, out of all the people on the server, Void has probably been unbanned the most.
That's true.
Yeah. Been banned 13 times. Unbanned all of the times.
So there you go. They just are looking for your secrets.
Oh, Smilers. Nice to see you
Oh.
here.
Wait, is the rail broken?
Yes.
I'm working on the rail.
Oh, I got you.
We can't go
There's
this way,
there's
this
a
way
new
goes-
destination underway.
This way goes nowhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do I get back to harbor?
I don't know.
I just continue down the rail as normal.
Found this one.
Alright, after these trees, bro, I'm actually making me sleepy, bro. I have to play a high energy game.
No, it looks ugly.
It
as
might be
fuck.
Marvel Rivals soon.
No, we get
Looks better on Netherite. Oh yeah, when Netherite comes out, you can use knockback
Why?
because it's good for Netherite. It actually knocks it.
Really? Okay.
Alright.
What do you have in your story?
Turns this way.
Sharp 5, looting 3, unbreaking 3.
If it is.
What do you spend on for it?
XP?
Oh,
Okay, that's fine.
What do you mean? I mean, I think I enchanted probably like 4 or 5. Like, or I enchanted 2 swords, right? And then combined them. Like, it was like a sharp 4. And then there was a sharp 4 and breaking 3, looting 3 that I combined.
thought you bought your sword.
No.
Spent like 85 for mine. It's like basically the same as yours, but it has fire aspect too.
85 what? Diamonds?
Diamonds.
Oh fuck, I was muted. I said we're looking at Sabo shit right here. It's looking, you know, it's good streak, bad. Ooh. Oh, that's the other day. I was like, bro. Oh, online, bro. Oh shit. Oh shit. All right. Continuing the quick match. All right. The quick match. I guess so. Yeah.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Johnny the Shadow. Chill. What if I wanted to play Ultron? There we go. I'll play Ultron. You did it. You got it. Mission successful.
I was built in humanity's image. Now I shall erase it.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Alright, guys. Play-Doh liquor? I don't like that one.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, okay. Buddy. My aim.
Better stop that vehicle.
Go, my children.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, my aim, I know my aim. I don't want to talk about it.
I'll outlive and embrace perfection. Go, my children.
I am ready to put on a show.
You don't stand a chance. Fall back.
They've made it halfway. Stop them. Take everything.
Not good. Not good. Not good. Not good. None of that is good. I'm dead. Okay, okay, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. Go, 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 go. Help the team, bro. Fucking help the team, bro. What are you doing? Help the team, bro. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Where's my teammates, bro? There's no fucking way, bro. This fuck ass Jeff the Shark, bro. No. No, I'm dead. I'm so dead. I'm not dead. No, you fucking Moon Knight, bro. We come back, we come back. Live. Okay, hold on. You're good, you're good. Everything's good, everything's okay. Everything is A-okay. Oh, I thought that would do something different. That's fine. That's fine, that's fine. Everything is okay. Don't get swallowed. Everything is fine. Don't get fucking mind controlled. Everything is fine. Oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah, that's everything's not fine. Fuck. Yeah, not good. Lucky, please. Lucky, Lucky, please. No, contest it, you fucker. Oh. Oh. Oh shit. Oh my god, bro. My fucking aim. Oh, you fucker.
I am ready to put on a show.
Don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Can you not? Damn. Damn. We're not doing bad. Oh shit. Oh my god.
Double KO! Stop them in their tracks! I am ready to put on a show! I sensed it. It's the grand finale!
Holy fuck, bro. Oh, we're cooking. We're hold on. Jeff, you fucking bitch. Don't run. Oh, you running. You got away. You got away.
Stop them in their tracks! Extra heavy! They'll have to hit harder. Only 60 seconds left.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sorry I can't heal you any faster, bro. No. Oh, I shouldn't have reloaded there. It's fine. 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 Holy fuck, bro. GG's, man. Jesus Christ. Rogue is the most Israeli tank. Motherfuckers just be saying anything, bro. You will? Sure, bro. Oh, bro. Yo. How's your comp games going, bro? Hello? Oh, I'm muted. I was muted. My fault.
Okay, I need a break from ranked.
Yeah, how's that going, bro? Gold 2?
Should be gold 1, but you know, we have AFK players in my team always. These guys, I hovered Venom. This guy insta banned Venom.
Who is this guy flexing a Thor on, bro?
Bro, this guy had like, what's that? The maxed out like the red icon of like the glowing Captain America.
Super Lord, bro.
Super Lord, Captain America, and Super Lord Winter Soldier.
I think it's called a champion, but we call it a Super Lord.
Whatever. This guy had both of them, right?
Yeah.
He got 2 kills the whole game. After banning my Venom.
Bro, there'd be a lot of trolls, bro. I had the same troll in 2 different matches, bro. This isn't ranked.
No, but like it happened in rank.
I know this happens in rank, bro. I had a motherfucking Spider-Man ban both of our supports' main characters then like proceed to like do dog shit numbers, bro. And then our other DPS was even worse, bro. They ulted and spawned twice
Okay.
as Phoenix, bro. I'm like, bro, what are we cooking, bro?
The battle starts in
Maybe I've had it better. Maybe I've had it better.
And then I had that same motherfucking Spider-Man on the opposite team. And I'm like, and his team is mad at him. I'm like, yo, did he ban your main characters? And everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, yo, typical fucking Tricky Joshua was his name, bro.
Tricky Josh.
And then he started spawn camping me as Spider-Man. I'm like, bro, you're not helping your team, bro. We have the point.
How many kills already, bro? It's kind of lit.
Who are you? Venom?
I can say it,
Oh. Who are you?
Report healers, GG.
Oh, you're Cyclops, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know who you were.
I'm gonna go Wolverine because they pick Hulk, but
You only have one tank.
just gonna throw me off the map anyway.
You have a fucking Namor, bro. Oh my god. Okay, if we're gonna be like that, bro. We'll play a different game.
Holy shit, I'm Smurf.
So who do you play? Just Venom, Tank Pool, and Winter Soldier? And Cyclops? The Cap?
Cyclops. I'd rather kill myself than play Cap.
Okay, well. Maybe not in your lobbies.
My fault for that is really Psyop that he's good. Sorry.
I mean, he's not horrible, let's say that much, you know?
Well, like my teammates don't know like how to play off.
Yeah. Like, if your teammates aren't even using your ult the best capacity, you might as well just swap, you know?
I'm an ace. Please don't
You're
forget
sick, bro.
season 1 Al Qaeda fist.
Nah, that was a different time, bro.
For the nerfs.
Hulk, bro. That's not
Do
the
these guys know that
play.
you can't dive a Namor?
That's not the play. Holy fuck, bro. Scarlet and Namor, bro. These guys don't want to aim at all, bro.
We have CC ult? Yeah, we have thing.
Hold on, yeah. I'm not. Hold on. I died here for real.
I think it's flanking.
Our Pain Brothers are kicking some ass right now.
This is real, bro.
survived so much worse.
Yo, back up. Yo, back up. This fucking guy is, bro. Butter? Yeah, you're not, bro. Cutting through you like butter, bro.
Yeah, multi-stream?
Okay, hold on. Multi-streaming, bro? Like on what? TikTok?
Yeah, bro, who are you talking to?
The fuck?
Bro, did I? Is my team retarded?
Bro. Oh, man. Oh, man. I got my ass beat. Did you hit him? Did you get
I
him?
got one? I got a rocket. It's because Loki did it at the same timing. I was really unlucky, actually.
I need our tanks to, like, tank, bro.
I want you to just, like, look at what the thing did with his ult and then realize that this game is over. Oh, 3 tanks. Let's fucking go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you,
Put all
Buddha.
the load on me.
Oh.
Who's Portal?
Our other tank.
Yeah, we definitely needed that.
Bro, he
Wonder
took
what my
Emma's
friend is
ult? No, no. I died. Fuck.
Oh, so you know it's a bad day at the office and I'm getting fucking ace.
Why do we have 3 tanks, bro? Who is this helping?
Oh, they went for proficiency, I think.
Genuinely, who is this helping, bro?
Yeah, go Starload, bro. That's definitely the one, bro.
Alright. That's how we're playing the game.
Agent F1.
Is that a first time gambit? Just
It's fine, bro. We don't have to do all that. I think fucking Buddha is gonna lock
30
in now, bro.
seconds before you attack. Get ready.
I found it, bro. The Strange, Master Strange, bro.
Oh.
Tony Strange, bro.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought he was saying Thor, bro.
No, that's your Smurf account, I think.
Yeah, I actually got a second monitor going right now.
Shit, we're up. We're up.
The battle starts in 5.
And on my laptop with my
Streams.
toes.
3.
Stream typing yourself.
1.
Exactly.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I'm fucking schmoving on this. How am I dying more than my tank though? Like, what do you do? Your fucking job.
I mean, those guys can jump, bro. Like those guys. I
Oh,
don't
we
know.
fell for the Hezi. We fell for the Doctor Strange Hezi, bro. We went back to the thing. It's all over.
All right, so basically,
First to capture now.
don't get your ass whooped. How did she have that? Oh, that was Loki last time. Never mind.
Gambit.
Okay. We lost thing.
Playing way too high up.
Okay. Bro, please.
Yeah, take the health back, bro. Take the health back when you're at full HP. Nice, bro. Nice.
Holy fuck, my tanks are getting their asses beat right now.
I mean, like, they're not even diving Namor, but they're not doing anything else. And we're dying to that.
They're
That's
diving
gonna be
Wanda
it.
in the ult, bro.
They're diving Wanda's ult.
Do anything challenge? Holy fuck.
Wasted ults? I mean, not Namor, but Raccoon.
Bro. Bro, please.
But does this guy buy a Hulk skin? Am I seeing this right?
Yeah.
Their team's
That's the thing, bro.
captured
You're looking at the thing, bro.
Is that supposed to be better?
I mean, they both have a skin on, if that makes you feel any better. Okay, go, 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 go. Co-op time.
We can die, there's no fucking turrets. Oh no, we lost again.
Jesus Christ, bro.
That's okay, start looking at Ace, bro. He's definitely earned it.
Stay down. They've only
Yeah, he earned it from
Yeah, I have
that
to wait for
alt
wait for
merchant,
thing
bro.
else.
Did the thingy? Okay, he's dead. Yeah, I don't know if we have time for that, bro.
It's gonna go overtime, I think, right?
You would hope so. That's Hulk, bro. Hulk, contest the point, bro.
nowhere yet. Going to
Okay, Hulk ult, Hulk ult. Okay, we got one,
kill.
we got
Wait,
one.
We can clean up. Do 1 damage challenge, team? Wait, you're in the fight.
I don't know, but Hulk. The more's on point, bro.
No turrets. He's gonna have ult, I think, again, because they have a better team. As always.
Bro, he's so low.
Lost vision.
Fuck that
Execute,
guy.
maybe? Nah,
Fuck that guy, bro.
pretty good. Nah, he's a pretty good execute on Cyclops. Sorry, Scott Summers. Sorry,
Yeah, with the
sorry.
ricochet, it's pretty good.
So I don't think the E drops off the walls, only like the secondary fire.
Oh hell no.
Did you got no one? I think I got everyone. Okay. It's theirs?
That's ours. I'm dead. Fuck. I got beamed to death, bro.
the mission area. Keep going.
It's theirs. I got rid of it.
Yeah, I'm almost there.
Okay, we're like 3-manning us. They're low,
Sure.
they have to give. That's really bad. Kill this guy. Do 1 damage.
Wanda behind you. Wanda behind you. Wanda behind you. Oh
He
shit.
has no ult. Chill.
Even though.
Glorious almost yours.
I'm saying please heal me, bro. I don't even know who you are, bro.
Okay, that's pretty lit. Was his Namor on the flank? You're not that guy, bro.
Yeah, that guy's always on the left side, bro.
I'm the left captain.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
It's Loki, no?
I don't think they have a Loki anymore, do they?
Oh, okay, you're right. Can't get this. Is that ours?
Yeah, so we have a
Loki
Jeff. We have a
ults?
Jeff now. We have a Jeff now. I don't know what he's cooking, but he did something.
Al Qaeda shark. Okay, that's execute.
We did it.
How do we?
Oh, triple support meta. Fuck.
In quick play,
Tanks locked in. Tanks locked in. Really, that's all that needed to happen.
I think Namor has ult though. That's the problem. And I think things with the ult in spawn. So.
can't fix.
Yeah.
Armor patch here. Pay up.
Yay.
My
We lost it to out.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
I don't think you check mid game.
How's that not a thing yet?
I don't know. I'm about to put this final hit merchant off, bro.
Emmett wouldn't have to uninstall, bro.
Yeah.
Open the Emmett files, bro. Holy shit.
The battle starts in
I mean, all this DPS output is gonna be relying on me now, which is not ideal.
I mean,
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
nah, you got it, bro.
Alright.
may have unleashed this madness, but it's up to us to make things right.
The thing, I need the fattest ultimate from you in your entire life. Are you a man or a mouse?
Here's the thing. They have a squirrel girl now? Oh, fantastic. Oh no!
Oh my god, I walked into that too late. And things gonna ult when I'm all dead.
And they broke
Let's
my
go.
fucking
Let's
beacon
clobber.
with that shit,
It's
bro.
fucking clobbering time.
Yeah,
Leave
so
the
he's
sword though,
so
but I was
he's
out of-
dead.
I was
So
out of
think
res range too anyway.
no, you weren't.
You
They,
also
they broke the beacon with that ult, dude.
Yeah, that need more.
Yeah, that's some bullshit for real. Why we reset here? We're good.
We need to take a scroll down? Oh no, we have no range.
I can't help you, bro.
I don't think anything can help this guy. I'll be honest.
Oh my god, bro.
How's that not killing?
With Emma, bro. Holy.
Can my tank dive in?
Oh my god. Okay, can we get to the point so I can like drop a solid ult on them? Dang, bro, how you get melted that fast? Nah.
I mean, Hulk has ult.
Fuck,
Not like it
bro.
matters.
Fuck, bro.
I've been holding ult since last game. Okay. We might actually touch the point for once.
Break the Emma shield challenge, bro. Holy.
I am ready to put on a
I can't
show.
shoot through that, bro. I'm frozen.
It's theirs now. Fuck. Okay, watch it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Here come the bad guys.
Jeff, do something. Jeff, do something. Jeff, do something. Jeff, do something. Okay, push up, push up, push up, push up, push up. We gotta do something here. We portaled? Sure, bro.
I remember when I ult the fucking Namor turret.
I'm gonna die here. Holy fuck, the tanks.
Going for my healers, I think.
Are we cooked?
Can't even get to this point. I'm like 1 HP.
I'm trying. I'm trying to find you, bro.
I got stuck on something.
You're stuck up here?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah, I
that's,
had to go like really quick.
that's fantastic,
Yeah, but
bro.
it's not like I was good.
What
Oh,
the fuck?
let's go, man.
What the fuck happened to my 8 and 12 fucking thing, bro?
Easy hope, easy thing.
Who said that? The squirrel girl said that? Oh, hell no. Report AI tanks. One final hit, bro. 12,000 damage
Yeah,
for
man.
one final
Holy
hit.
shit, you have the same amount of final hits as my fucking tank, bro.
Bro, our Jeff has the same amount as our other tank. Actually, no, Jeff was DPS for that. That doesn't count.
Oh shit, I'm level 10 on fucking Cyclops, bro. It's lit.
Straight up.
Y'all not good. Okay, Jeff.
Who said that?
My name is
Jeff?
Jeff.
My name Jeff. Alright. Turn it around this time.
Guangdong Tigers.
Nishibuya.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
You're offense or defense?
We are defense. Rasmus Smoker, Tank Gengar. Got a Lord Punisher on the team.
You know what? I think I'm like level 17 mastery on this guy.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
Okay, this is not a terrible comp.
We could hold some shit with this.
Just say it. There's nothing
I feel like the one thing about Captain America that maybe I think I'm doing it wrong
You'll be coming in 30 seconds.
is I always mess up, or like I don't think I charge his ult properly,
Hey,
or maybe it's just, his ult just takes longer to charge.
never thought I'd find someone with the same taste on this
Mm.
I don't know. Something I've always noticed about him.
Let's
Or
see.
every other tank,
Ion turret,
every other player
photon
character I play
reaction
this.
chain gun, mini black hole.
The battle starts in 5.
Alright, well, we'll see what happens this game.
3, 2,
But
1.
wait for their front line to come and then I went after back.
Securing the mission area.
They have a Hawk guy.
Once we get this timeline thing sorted out, I'm taking a long vacation somewhere with lots of stuff to steal. I'll patch you up.
Scott Summers, you fucking pagan.
Ready again.
They have a blade? Oh shit, bro. What?
How am I alive?
Oh, Invis, you fucking. Oh, okay.
Shit, hit turned.
Feeling fantastic.
See? I'm fucking help. You're welcome.
Holy fuck, the anti-heal, bro.
That blade that's playing against you.
Yeah.
They have no tank, man. Are you serious?
4 DPS. Squirrel Girl, Spider-Man,
Or they
Blade,
even
and
claiming the point, bro.
Cyclops. Are we portaling? Bro, it's too late to portal. What?
Whether we have a real comp and they are AI.
You need to stop that vehicle in its
Yeah, we got up into more now. I guess that's for the Spider-Man. And maybe the Blade.
Ping the bad guy. I'll patch you up. Don't mind me.
Better stop that vehicle.
This is real firepower.
Okay?
Come back, come back, come
Alright,
back, come
okay,
back,
folks.
come back, come back, come back.
I'll patch you up.
Fuck. I tried.
I mean, I'm the only one that's like willing to kill their team. Rocket Raccoon has the most kills in the lobby.
You stop them in their tracks.
No, you fucker.
That's all.
Jesus Christ, bro. I can't save everybody. Oh my god, bro.
Do these guys know that it's zero? Bro, this why are my tanks running away?
Rasmus Smoker, bro. What are you cooking? Okay,
Oh,
our
bro.
Punisher
Leave
left
the
the
game,
game.
bro.
Oh, we got Gutshot, yo. That sounds like a name that a motherfucker who knows how to play the game would have. Yo, we're gonna like push
I want you to
back.
the point, bro.
Alright, I'm with you. Oh, I'm with you from a distance. Like a very far distance.
We are undefeatable.
Anti-salt.
Sorry, we're kinda getting split up now. Oh, fuck. Motherfuckers behind us, motherfuckers in front of us. Blade, no, no, Blade. Oh, fuck, Spider-Man, no!
Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, we healed.
Okay.
There's still a chance to stop them. Better stop that vehicle.
They have 0 tanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Shields up.
Are you a man or a mouse? Come on, man. Are we flipping the objective right at the... Okay, hold on.
Jesus fucking
Okay, we finally
Christ, bro.
performed one time in this game.
Spider-Man's still alive.
Doesn't matter. Spider-Man cannot play when we are grouped of 6. I learned that.
I appreciate you.
Scott Summers, hold that.
This place is worth a good look.
That was a really bad dive for me.
Oh, fuck. No, I died.
I could have reacted faster. I healed.
We're back, right, tippy toe?
Oh, good.
I flipped point for no reason.
Yeah, they're
Why
getting
did my
motion now.
strange
They're
shape
getting
to heal when
motion.
I'm 1 HP?
I'll let them get the motion.
Fucking with the motion.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
That killed through Captain America's shield?
Yeah, it goes through
That was real
shields.
damage.
It goes through shields, bro.
That's 3.
Are you serious? I didn't know that. Oh.
Oh.
As if there wasn't already a free win, they went penny. Let's fucking go, dude.
They're one now. No, they have one support now. They have one support.
Okay, they also don't know that I have Captain America ult.
Holy fuck, our tank is dead.
We are
I am the tank.
They're one support ulted.
Counter my ult, bro. Ult is for me, bro. I can do this all day.
Break this nest, break this fucking nest. Oh my god.
You're asking a Captain America with the mess, bro.
Yeah.
might be a good time to stop them.
Asking anybody to break the nest. Can't be like this, bro.
Oh, I
The
can't.
Cyclops has only died once. The Squirrel Girl has only died once. The Blade is their tank, bro. I don't understand how this is working. They're using the Penny Nest as a second healer now. I don't understand, bro. What is this tactics?
How was Blade 1v1ing me, bro? That Captain America was broken.
Blade's nice now against tanks. And Captain America's not broken, bro. That's just propaganda. He's just perpetually like.
I'm sorry,
just
TikTok told
okay.
me that despite having only nerfs, he's magically broken. That's what I was told.
I've heard it. I've heard enough, bro. Just nerf Captain America, bro. Bro, somebody
Who's hitting
heal
doubles,
me.
bro?
Where the fuck is my supports, bro?
They're definitely on the front line, so I don't know why they're not healing you.
God forbid you heal the ace, bro.
Just dying to everything.
No more,
Yo, I'm
bro.
with the back line and we're just getting shit on.
Don't mess with the amazing
Oh hell no.
Oh, Dr. Strange killed the guy. What's need? Back to regular schedule programming, Scott Summers.
Oh, you
of course,
fucking.
bro. I just realized, bro, you pick Penny, you guaranteed yourself the win, bro. I forgot how that works. I think reporting this team is not enough. We need to execute.
Holy fuck! This Penny actually cooked my ass, bro. Okay, hold it down. I have ult when I come back. Maybe we can
You're
hold it
not
down.
coming back to anything.
Hold on. Hope is not lost. Hope is not lost. Anything is possible.
Okay, zoning ult. Okay, changing the game. Okay, we got Penny. A double. Scott Summers, get back here. Hold on, actually, but we don't have to chase.
Spider-Man's on point.
Okay,
How
40
is
seconds.
How is he dogging our team, bro? It's one Spider-Man.
Doesn't matter, bro. He's off now.
Scott Summers is back. Oh, where's my heals? Okay. Oh.
I think
Summers
I'm
is
going
dead?
Ult, right? No, we have Invis ult.
We have an invis ult. If you ult, we can get our ults faster, technically. They portaled? Oh
I
shit.
do it. Can you run a ult?
We're just dead, bro.
Dead.
Nobody else came through the portal?
Just contest. What's my useless support doing, bro? Can he heal me?
I can't even see, bro. Who the fuck is still alive? Oh, it's Spider-Man.
Nah, he's playing it so wrong with giving us the point. Alright, my whole team needs to get reported. It doesn't matter.
Oh my god, bro. There's no way I had MVP from since I was Rocket, bro. That's actually not fair. Did someone leave their team, bro? Is that one?
Zero healing with Captain America. Am I a bot?
I think the Loki was just doing healing before you could get your healing down because you had this totem's there. The
No,
same
all
spot.
get heal. Alright, heal.
You do, but I don't know if anybody was damaged because he was already healing. And then Invis ulted on top of that too. I don't know if you actually got any heals from your shit
I swear,
specifically.
maybe they changed it because I'm thinking. I swear it used to be like if you healed yourself, it counted. Maybe they changed that.
Maybe.
I still average like 2k heals on myself, bro.
Farming though.
Already out healing and on
Farm.
support.
That Emmett diff, bro. I was trying to play Minecraft with Emmett, bro. This guy was on the phone the whole time. And he's like, yo, I'm trying to wrap it up, bro. Like in the chat, he's like, yeah, I'm trying to hop off this call, bro. I'm like, all right, bro, wrap it up. And then he's like, nah, I gotta hop off the game because now Loki we're arguing, bro. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is happening? How are you getting moved? Like, how are you getting bitched like this, bro?
I'm not getting bitch, bro. He's exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah.
He's
Fair enough.
exactly where he wants to be. I know his kind. He's a sick man.
Before you attack, get ready.
Why is it sometimes I can ban people in ranked games, but I can't in others?
Huh?
Like, I can ban in some game modes, but I can't ban in all game modes.
I think it depends on like the average rank.
Oh yeah, that's how it works.
Like the threshold is somewhere between like gold 1 and something. Whatever. Yeah, so the more up you are, the more the ban is actually. Because I know it's there in platinum for sure, like every game. So I don't know when it starts.
Very strange. Very strange, like a doctor.
This empire has grown so fast, even the
They would be banning in gold, bro. Oh, they have a penny, bro? Nice, bro.
Who's behind us, bro? Yeah, we're gonna ignore you.
Angela?
I just dove a penny, bro. I need to get killed. Godsarmor is touching me. I just reloaded on Venom, bro. My team's retarded. Godsarmor's dead.
Angela's dead.
I'm just gonna take the point right now. Okay, the shark.
Oh, he did the dash on me.
Chat, watch this.
Watch this drive. Watch this dive.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
We're diving pennies, bro. Fuck it.
We diving for pennies, call me wishing well, bro. Oh, fuck. Wish me well.
Get my E back on point. Angela's behind us. She thinks I can't see her.
Cook her, cook her.
Too far away from her healers.
Cook this bird in the blender, bro.
She can't even get back to her team.
Oh, I'm dead. Damn. Oh, Jeff ult? That's not good. Oh, okay. Blade gets some motion. Blade gets some bans.
You thought you could kill Jean Grey? Please.
You think this shit's a game? I'm diving.
Yeah, Angela's still in the back somewhere.
I flip point. Good. I held E. Off now.
I'm 1v1ing an Angela right now, bro. What the fuck is happening? Finally.
Me! My X-Men! Oh shit. Oh, he was down. 1 second.
Did you die?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Our MVP is yet to look at where the nest is, even though he has a gun. I don't know how it works.
Holy fuck, bro.
Alright, chat, watch this. Is that anti-gravity? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, it's the map, it's the map, it's the map. On now.
Look at that dodge. Dodge Grand fucking Caravan.
Oh, damn. Oh. Damn. They comboed that one.
Somebody needs a number, I'm still waking up. Is this your ult? It's like this. Oh my god, like 2k healing!
Go, 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 go. Oh, where the fuck is the rest of the team? Oh no, they're not here, bro. Fuck.
I am the fucking team, bro.
Oh, where was that amplifier like 3 seconds ago, bro? That's just gone.
Oh shit, he interrupted my swing.
Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck.
I'm more for the damage block record this game, bro. Holy shit. You fucking Emma Frost. I made this checkpoint, but it was actually gonna
Jean Grey,
Can you get a kill?
I'm on the board, bro. I'm on the board, bro.
I guess you do. I guess you're doing better than Shake. Wait, what happened to our son? No, he was support, bro. What the fuck? Why did he switch to Punisher? Fuck.
Don't run, bro.
We
Don't
got
run.
one support, bro. Why the fuck do we have one support, bro?
Holy fuck, that was playable, I think. We have one support? Am I seeing that right? Oh yeah. Well, no wonder there's no heals, bro. Actually, it's better to not have heals on Venom, I think.
Okay,
Copium.
our one support ulted. This is our only time to shine.
Yeah, alright, we're pushing. We're still pushing.
Okay, we got a support. We got a
Anything
support.
to give? Nice kill steal. Hitler's on the point.
Go. Okay. Angela's
again?
Angela's a new Hitler, bro.
Penny and Angela might be actually like the
the most annoying fucking one in the front line, one in the back. We're on two fronts as gameplay, bro.
You
Fuck.
can't dive, you can't stay backline. It's just
Fucking
it's like
the walls are closing in
Wolverine
gameplay,
hooks.
bro. What the fuck?
It's like Wolverine hooks with like actual like rewards.
Oh
Can I
shit!
swing
Oh,
out? Like, holy shit,
No, you
man.
can't. You can't. You have to break the thing in the middle. That's your ult, bro.
I swing like 5 times and I got canceled 5 times. Fairs. I support his AFK.
You got cancer 5 times, bro.
Yeah, you can relate to.
Alright, guys. Let's not let this point, be our downfall.
He's just go for the thing.
Right,
Wait, my
castle
dive, wait, my
goes
dive, wait, my
support.
dive.
Jeff dead. Cyclops dead.
How is no one killing this Doctor Stranger?
I'll do it myself.
Is our healer dead?
We need another healer. No? Our healer's typing. I think our healer just died, yeah, actually. Okay, the
He's alive for a little bit. It's like it's spamming it.
point's healing, the point's healing us. I can just hear Angela back there, bro.
Jeff
Oh
ulted nothing.
no, Jeff, he ulted me, bro.
Oh, fuck off, Angela.
Where are you taking me?
I mean, Angela's kidnapping me, bro.
Aw, man. What happened
Okay,
to
we
you?
have 5 ults. Maybe Punisher will go positive now.
Chicken B? Nah, bro.
Hold on. Punching Nathaniel B?
Oh, fuck, dude.
How do you guys get die to that?
Angela's whooping my ass, bro.
I'm hiding.
Alright, we got 5 ults, guys.
Hiding.
Yo, W hiding spot? If this was hiding seek, you'd be winning, bro. Unfortunately, this is convergence.
Gary's bot. I'm flipping. We flip point. Doctor is strange. Cyclops is running away. Scott Summers has been killed. To me, my fucking X-Men. I just F into the fucking air.
Holy
Fuck off,
fuck.
K-pop.
Let's go, Frank Castle. Let's go, Frank Castle. Oh, fuck, Frank Castle. No, Frank Castle.
Okay, bro. It's good. It's a good trade, bro. That ult for the worst player on our team gone. I'm still holding alt.
If anything, they did us a favor, huh?
To my hiding spot? They know? Never mind.
You still hiding, bro?
Hey, you
Oh,
know-
there's a thing in the way. That's unfortunate.
Is it ours?
Yeah.
God, someone's not even kiting, bro. How is this allowed? Chat, look what I'm doing.
We did it. We did it.
It's like
We
me
did it?
dodging Jeff's ult with my ult. See that shit?
How many
I actually-
4Ks does it take? Jesus Christ, bro. 0 final hits.
Brother,
Punisher as Punisher and then Squirrel Girl. How you get 0 final hits, bro?
how that even possible? He had more healing done than damage.
Bro.
I was on the wrong roll.
Why did he ever switch her? I don't understand. It was working.
Okay, bro. It's time to practice my dive Deadpool.
Ain't you Nathaniel B? That guy might be Nathaniel B, actually.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Alright, who we got? Duffy DeVito on the team.
I'll give him this free team up, bro. When he sees Penny, he's gonna regret it then. Oh shit! I thought my car alarm was going off. And it's just I realized it's the game.
Agent F1. I'm going in.
This white puck's good.
Yeah, pretty good. It's just good anti-dive. Well, she can be dive and anti-dive, I guess, depending on how you play her.
Who's she like?
Don't raise my voice.
Who's she like?
My actions speak for me.
I don't really know. She's kind of like Invis, I guess.
Okay. Can she
But
heal
like,
herself?
Before you attack,
kind of. You can go into like a melee form, and that heals anything and her around her.
'Cause I know like Invis can't heal herself, right?
Invis can shield herself now. She can put the shield on herself.
Okay. But for a
And
while
then-
she couldn't.
Yeah, for a bit. But then motherfucker started complaining.
Yeah, because like you can just dive Invis now. She's out of the game.
starts in 5, 4,
Yeah, if you
Spider-Man's
catch
like
if
two
you catch
shot.
her in the jump and then she can't be invisible, she's cooked basically.
all you need to do is capture the
Her
mission.
fighting was pretty limited.
Are we like not even like paying attention?
What the fuck happened to that guy, bro?
Spider-Man. Who's killed himself?
A nice deep freeze.
Oh, shit.
Look at that. We picked Wolverine against Penny Parker. What is bunny hopping MC? You're not that guy, bro. I was Cap alive.
The cap? Oh fuck.
Good timing. Perfect synergy.
I just realized that the fucking Twitch main page auto playing in my ears right now. I'm like, yo, what am I hearing right now?
Are you seeing this Penny gameplay?
They're Penny, bro.
Yeah, they're just hopping.
Petey
up and
Pride
down.
wife? I don't know, bro. They just died. They just swapped us. Oh no, they didn't. They swapped a Strange on their team, bro. What the fuck? Or said rude in
Hold
the
on,
chat.
Jeff.
Holy fuck! Let me pause this fucking.
Pause
This is
that, I
bad,
guess?
bro. Oh my god. They portaling?
No, there's no way.
Get that vehicle
Oh.
to its destination.
Okay.
Triple tank comp, bro. You seen this?
They have triple tanks, so we got triple DPS, bro. Wolverine is eating, bro.
How is
Wolverine better
Wolverine
be
playing
eating,
this
bro.
game against Penny Parker?
How is he playing against Penny
You're-
Parker and Thing, bro? Motherfucker, you can't even move. I don't know, but he's making it work, bro.
He's playing no dive fucking Logan, bro. Hilarious. Now the portal.
No
What is
dive,
this
Logan.
portal?
Bro, what? Oh, bro, what is this portal? It's a fucking some fucking Portal 2 gameplay, bro.
Oh my God, it's actually
This is free.
Portal.
This is free eats, bro. This is free eats.
I'm just holding up my
Tryhards.
Look at this Portal, bro. Oh shit. They canceled it when I tried to do it, bro.
No stopping now. Let's move this thing. You're halfway there.
Bro, that's actually crazy.
How quaint.
You are playing Penny. Are your parents? Yo, you're gonna get a chat ban again, bro?
It's worth it.
And the hug the chat ban.
Is this thing retarded? Zero correlation? That's how you know it's true. See how he's not denying it?
They're cousins? Nice, bro.
No, because he said zero correlation. Yeah, it is. How are they letting Cyclops push, bro? How's this real? It's quick play, why are we whining? That's how I know you don't have a winning mentality.
Who said that? Yeah, they're invis? They're the... That's good.
Yeah, I'd be mad too if I was 1-1-1 as support.
Or if you were 0 and 5 as fucking Star-Lord and then you just switched to Black Cat.
Am I sniping that guy though? Are you kidding me?
Bro, that guy's actually crazy, bro, with the fucking final hit merchant off you can do.
I just saw Wolverine.
Yeah.
Penny
Yeah.
Parker, bro. Did you see that shit?
Bro. I genuinely don't believe what the fucking gameplay we're watching right now, man. Can't be real life.
Spider Shark is coming.
They have triple support now? Oh shit.
Yeah, doing this. They're all doing their own spawn.
No, I think they need the 6 minutes to hold it down. I think they wanted the pressure.
That's how diamonds are formed. Look at Wolverine's trolling. It's over. Penny realized how to press the nuts button. YOLO. Of course. That's when they use their ults.
You tried it. You tried it.
Got my assistant. Ah, my shift was down. That's really unlucky. They went Human Torch, bro. There's no way a Wolverine just did that. A Wolverine just
Bro,
canceled
this...
Penny's ult.
Nah, bro. It's over, dude. It's over, dude. My bike throwing, bro. My Malik throwing? Whoa. Nail biter? Tried my best, but it's...
I'm sorry, does this guy think that like silver is the guy Elo?
I don't know, bro.
Is that what that means?
I think that's what he thinks, bro. He's been struggling, bro.
Fuck, bro, that's fucking Pico, man.
We cooking? Yeah, we cooking, bro. We've been cooking.
I think we all need to touch grass. It's not that serious. Loser mentality.
My fucking enemy team complaining, bro. Only one person on their team actually tried, and it was fucking Spider-Man. Yo, how many characters did Shay play? Holy dude, is that fucking 9 characters? They're still yapping in the chat, bro.
That's me.
No, I mean
It's our
Xerox.
team, actually.
Xerox is still going, bro. He's still fighting back, bro. He's still
Real
fighting with them,
demon,
bro.
Okay, that makes more sense. Only 2 final hits as Wolverine, bro. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
we practiced passive
he was
once.
pulling him. He was pulling him back to the rest of the team.
It doesn't
bro.
matter, bro. It doesn't matter. That was like the hardest matchup in the game.
Surely we can Mecha Chameleon at some point, bro. I've been waiting, bro. We need more people. I'm not trying to play with a bunch of randoms, bro. It's like the prop hunt. It's not like prop hunt. It's like hide and seek, where you can like paint and like draw yourself into the environment. I don't know if you've seen clips of it. It's like a new game that just dropped. Nah, I'd win 12. For what? T Diddy 6'7"? What? I think he's letting you have Cyclops, bro. Oh,
I
no.
can't pick a 4 DPS.
4 DPS is in Deadpool, bro.
Who are you calling a raccoon, huh?
Support
4
pool.
DPS is Deadpool and White Fox, bro.
I'm going
This. That's right, bro. I think we might be cooking with
Director Han, White Fox.
axe.
Let's make this quick and clean.
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Oh shit, run offense. I mean defense. Gonna move.
Tiger Division is actively recruiting highly skilled operatives across.
This is a better
the
map for
globe,
Venom
Hawkeye.
as offense anyway.
In the
On defense, I
interest.
prefer Deadpool.
Iron Fist, Black Panther, Hawkeye, Venom, Support Pool, and White Fox.
The battle
This might
begins in
be
5, 4,
Can call me
3,
Director
the
Han.
worst defense team assembled.
Already CC'd. Nice.
you need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Back in the hunt.
My Black Panther just dove into their spawn. Guys, they have Human Torch. We can't lose.
Unfortunately,
Nah, I win.
he's actually not bad, bro.
It's Human Torch. I refuse to lose to that. To Johnny fucking Snow.
Like these guys, bro, on our team,
She has Venom Solo Tank.
oh, they can make Black Widow look viable, bro. Holy fuck, I'm dead.
The hunt
They
resumes.
made it halfway. Stop them.
Guys,
Better stop that
I
vehicle.
don't think I should be.
how am I supposed to help you if you go forward, you fucking idiot?
There's still a chance to stop them.
I'm fucking pinging for heals and walking
Why
forward.
am I
bro.
at 1 HP?
Need assistance.
How is Cyclops touching me with this? Why is it show? Oh my god, I'm getting melted.
Oh, there's a Psylocke back here somewhere. Thank you.
Cyclops down.
Holy fuck, where's our team, bro?
I fucked up my ass.
Where the fuck did you go?
That's the point.
Come back to point, come back to point. Oh, never mind. It's over. I'm dead. Fuck. I'm not dead. It's not
Oh,
over.
you fucking Giadas, man.
Oh, they got the point. Fuck. The
I
fuck?
have nobody. Does Deadpool want to like do anything? Oh, he wants to run to base. Bro.
No. I'm dead. Oh, he ulted? Deadpool ulted? Did he do anything with the ult?
Yeah, he oh, he didn't ult the Cyclops. Who cannot even fight when he gets ulted by Deadpool. Champagne Supernova.
Almost bowed out.
Bro, what are we cooking? How are we getting cooked by a fucking Human Torch right now, bro? Do I need to diff him? Can you go tank? Hold it down, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. No. Came to heal you, you jumped away, bro.
I went to Deadpool, bro. Oh, that's my first mistake.
Hawkeye, do something challenge. Hawkeye, do something challenge.
That's what the point, bro. Just a flip.
Back up, back up, back up. Oh shit, oh shit. Who the fuck is Iron Fist, bro? Why didn't he come back?
The guy healed me once, like that's enough, bro. That's enough. Good luck, bro. You gotta E, bro. You gotta E.
There's still a chance to stop them.
Fuck that. Oh hell no.
I hate that shit though.
Well, surely we can kill one person, right?
Okay. We just chill the ults now? We just like bait theirs out now? I think my fucking Deadpool and he's like playing like an absolute terrorist.
Oh my god. The fucking road was annoying.
Fuck, I'm gonna dive. We got flanked.
Where the fuck are you, bro?
You'll have to hit harder.
You're deep in the front.
So I cancel my ult, bro. Fuck off.
No! Oh, that was so bad.
Deadpool's dead. And I'm gonna join him in Valhalla very soon.
See you in Valhalla.
I think I got CC'd out of my ult. I was about to dive in and I'm like, we are not doing this ult. Okay, you know what? Good news is we wasted a lot of their time. The bad news is we're gonna lose the game.
It's not over, it's not over. Hope is not lost.
Watch this last second contest. Okay, Scott Summers? Yes, it shift away.
Where the fuck is my Venom, bro?
Taking down Scott Summers. It's
I
not
need you on the
working.
point. I need you on the point, bro. I need you on the point, please. Please.
I can do this all day. Wait, wrong character. I need heals right now.
I am ready to put on a show.
Oh my god. That's not ours.
Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck, dude.
That was the worst ult of all time. Because the tanks were diving our tanks. We flipped somehow? It's ours?
Oh fuck. Yeah, they're both ours.
Target the DPS, bro. Like, why are we still fucking fighting this sport?
Did I die here? Fuck.
They portal for fun?
Portal for
no,
fun.
Angela. Sorry, I heard something in the sky. I'm like, that sounds like the portal thing, but I realized it's just like the sound of her flying.
Oh yeah, that happens to me a lot.
You're Iron Man? Okay.
I'm Iron Man, I'm Iron Man. We had a second support, I'm like, we don't need 2 supports. I need 3 supports.
One damage challenge, team. We have like Winter Soldier, bro. How am I getting grounded this often? Angela grounds, no? Or is it Rogue?
Yeah. I think it's Angela. Oh hell no.
That's good psychological team with my own fucking spawn. Alright, the good news is we have Alzheimer's. The bad news is he's also terrible.
Yeah.
How is that even real? I saw that. How is that even real?
What part?
Angela's just fighting Iron Man.
Bro, she cooked my ass, bro.
We flipped for fun? Okay.
Okay, Sala can die.
She's gone?
Who did Angela ult on?
Probably.
You can put it on the side, bro? What the fuck? I didn't know that was possible. The fuck?
Portal? No,
Yo, if you can put it on the wall, imagine what combo you can fucking pull with the Wolverine if you all like combo that. Bring everybody to the wall and fucking Angela ult on them at the same time. No, that's the last thing I wanted to see, bro. Could have altered on Luna if I had the Angela off my dick.
It's now or never. Stop them.
Motion detected? You didn't know you could pin people to the wall? Nah, I didn't. I'd not seen it happen.
Let's pull ult me, bro. What the fuck? Look at that held ult.
We have like 5 ults, now we have 4. Because Deadpool's, you know,
Oh
his
shit.
own individual.
We got an ace.
20 seconds left.
I hear Hitler.
Angela's flying. Oh, they have a Punisher now, bro? Why?
I think they have ult. Chat, watch this flank. Fuck. Don't watch that flank.
Get something, please. Thank you. Evasive maneuvers. After all my Angela games we played together, you never saw me wall someone up. Honestly, bro, we never really combo together. We're usually on other sides of the map, bro, or like other sides of the
Look at
spectrum.
this fucking family.
My favorite's to wall Jeff when he's looking like a dog leash. Yeah, fair enough. Chris Crunchy, bro. 7 final hits. Look at this guy go. When did he play Widow, bro? What the fuck? Was it that easy on us?
Oh, they were Hawkeye and Widow. I told him, why are you 1 and 4 trying to make it work?
Nah, Hawkeye and Widow were 2 different people, bro. What the fuck? That's crazy. Venom, don't say anything anymore. I'm talking about you, bro. Yeah. They stole my MVP at the end, bro. What a scoundrel.
2 final hits, trash.
You got
Look at the damage blocked in the entire lobby, and then wonder how you were able to do that.
same final hits. Huh?
As who? As oh, it's his dad's. For Pride Month.
Domination. Shit's almost over, bro.
Better late than never.
Pick your hero or villain. I'm not judging.
Life energy is a powerful weapon against evil.
Actually,
Who are you calling a raccoon,
no Mantis gameplay.
I'm a good guy who occasionally takes stuff that doesn't belong to him.
It's a good game of Deadpool too.
30 seconds before you
Yeah, buff mommy 69 on the other team, bro. Dinator GG
They don't
on the other
understand
team.
anything because they never listen.
It's a Detonator 69, but he's I think that was taken. I'm gonna try a different upgrade path this game. Dive full. Well, unless they have Penny. Then everything I'm saying is going out the window.
All you need to do is capture the mission
Out the
area.
fucking window.
Got it?
Once we get this timeline thing sorted out, I'm taking a long vacation somewhere with lots of stuff to steal. Knew I saw it. Armor patch here. Pay up. You're ready for that?
That's a great wall run from the enemy Venom, bro.
Looks like the mission area is
No one's even healing me?
Holy fuck, bro. Enemy Venom in the
Jeff
back line.
Landshark, we teamed up for this? Bro, they're all lords. Magic is AFK.
Magic is AFK? Magic is JFK, bro. Magic is Charlie Creek.
Hey, mind if I join you, pal?
Monkey's gonna get the craziest hooks on me all game. I can already feel it. I'm gonna bait this Venom dive.
He's back here already, bro. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, dude.
What's that for chat?
I'll patch you up. Oh, someone scratch my back.
Oh shit. I'm my Jeff, bro. Live. Live, you fucker.
Alright, I'm diving the point.
Alright, we're all here, we're all here, we're all here. Well, kind of. Oh, not Charlie Kirk, bro. Fuck. Damn. Looking Vesuvius Chulo, bro.
Here comes Rocket again.
Still alive?
I'm fucking Deadpool, bro.
You're welcome.
A healing factor.
This is a nice spot.
They've almost got it.
Those guys are about to shoot at us.
I thought I had to sustain for that.
Appreciate the boost. I'll patch you up.
I can't even walk up.
No way, dude.
Nowhere yet.
Holy fuck.
I swear I dodged that.
I don't think that the Groot knows what he's doing. Because how are you letting it
Unironically,
get motion, bro?
unironically, this is actually a good Wolverine game, but our teammates are gonna pick
Chips
Magic
are down.
anyway.
You want your heroes a little roguish and scruffy, like
The
me.
Zolik. Non-iguana.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
How much did I miss while Alchemax was holding me captive, Ileana?
Don't worry. Round 2.
Just know that Krakoa still stands.
Mitchell's gonna get a final hit, bro. He might have to use his ult to get it, but he's gonna be on the board at least, you know?
He's gonna ult nothing. I can guarantee you that.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I hate this map so much.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Yeah, bro, this is Venom's map, bro.
It's nice to be back in action.
We can't really dive on this map. If he does, then fairs. Oh, yeah, he's already diving.
This is a nice spot.
They have a Gambit?
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
I'll patch you up.
They can screw us.
Magic's still behind us somewhere.
Watch this spot.
Okay, we can just group.
Oh, they have a Spider-Man too? Oh, shit.
He's like a non-stop switching. He's over the pole.
You're ready for action.
Buff Mommy 69 on Gambit, bro.
Damn. Good bait.
Hope I make the cut. Team player, and you're welcome. Thanks for the boost. Seriously, stay away from my scud.
Oh, good.
Just in time. Thanks.
Okay.
You ain't got rid of me yet.
Okay.
Cyclops is ace at fucking 6 and 4, bro.
Yeah, he's definitely balanced, bro.
Don't worry.
Yeah, the poke a little bit gets more upgrade on this that point in your area.
Magic down there. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's a fantastic, bro.
This is real firepower.
Of course, bro, of course.
Okay. 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 I think I need to do more DPS. I think that's the problem. I don't think our team is doing enough.
That's right. Everything is mine.
Oh, medium Mitchell thing, bro. Smurfing.
Medium
I
Mitchell.
hear Spider-Man, but I don't see Spider-Man.
That's scary, bro.
This is a nice spot.
We go ground level. I don't want to high ground.
Those guys are about to shoot. Be
He's
careful.
over here.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
We got Venom E. Can't dive.
Oh, fuck, bro.
Okay. Good upgrade.
No, who did we
They
die?
should send it. They're gonna send it to the point.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime.
No way, dude. Fuck, I can't save them.
I mean, I can hold the contest for a little bit, but
I'm trying. I'm dead. Fuck. Portal? Portal?
Strange
Portal?
portaling? Strange portaling? After we already flipped the point?
I don't know what.
He can't
He's not
flip portal?
Oh, what? Bro, what are you cooking, man? First of all, why are you portaling when they are
Yeah,
laying
I low-key thought that they had almost full cap. He's so fucking stupid.
We could have at least portal. We have a C and D ult, bro. We could have.
Your
Okay.
parents are siblings, bro. It's fine.
Bro, what are we cooking here, bro? This is crazy gameplay. Oh, hell no. Mitchell, bro. Wasting my fucking beacon. Died. Why didn't I see D ult, bro? Please, please, please. How did you just die, bro? You should have just went to point and ulted. Your fucking cloak and dagger.
I even go to the contest. I have nowhere close to ult.
Holy fuck, everybody died. Yo, if only we had a portal right now, that'd be crazy, huh?
I mean, I'm contesting right now.
Thank you. Not good.
Okay.
Not good. I'm gonna die here. Fucking Venom, bro. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Somebody kill the magic, bro.
I mean, like, I'm going dive full, and
Huh.
I was on point for a solid, honestly, no hyperbole, 28 seconds.
I was there,
And
bro.
we didn't do anything with that. We didn't do
Bro,
anything
I
with
don't
that.
know why C and D didn't ult the first time. We had 2 support ults ready, bro. Could have had some motion. They're just like, nah, bro.
Yeah, man, that's the greatest portal cancel of all time.
Fucking Mitchell, bro. Fuck.
Why level 11 on fucking Deadpool it only, bro? What? What's up, bro?
Because you're getting 0 final hits, bro.
Oh, that was my job this game. I had to make Cyclops eat. Got nothing to prove to these quick play demons, bro.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
Buddy Squeezer. Damn, J-Dog cosplay got you, bro.
If you play Deadpool support, does that also count towards your Deadpool
Yeah, it's all the same.
proficiency? Okay. Imagine it wasn't.
Open your eyes.
That'd be fucking terrible, bro. But that would be like the type of trolley that Deadpool would probably.
I think they don't do it because then you could get like the premium currency.
Yeah, you can get currency 3 times. Yeah, they're not trying to. They're not trying
Like,
to.
whoa, brother, whoa.
Whoa.
We don't do that here.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Who they got on their team?
Oh, we'll find out. They're taking kind of their sweet ass time, so I'm not. Oh no, they're here. Someone jumping. I think that's a Spider-Man.
That's not all our plans to sever.
Can't see. Strange.
Battle starts in 5, 4,
Wolverine.
3,
Oh.
2, 1.
Yeah, it's Wolverine.
Cyclops, Strange, yeah. Jeff, Invis. What is this Wolverine cooking, bro?
He thought I wasn't gonna hear him. I bet you I got some deals.
F step.
That was the most accidental dive of all time.
Okay, we improvise, we improvise. We improvise and we take those.
Wolverine's claws.
We improvise and we take those.
Wolverine is trying to dive a backward.
Improvise and we take those. Dive Strange.
Is Wolverine like retarded? What?
Dive
Smart
Strange
Wolverine
gameplay.
plays
Dive
that.
Strange gameplay. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
He flipped rolls.
Get the cat right now. Get the cat right now. Oh, she's getting heals. Cyclops in the corridor. That's a bad move. Bad move for us.
He's not looking up. He's not looking up. Don't look up. Don't look back in anger either.
Wolverine behind us. Oh shit.
Wolverine is diving Loki, bro. Like he's an intelligent player. IUA gameplay.
Oh.
What's this dive? Okay.
Black fox. I mean, black cat. Black cat.
This guy actually finally hit a stun on me. Ben on me, sorry. But doesn't know I'm holding shit.
Bro, anybody heal me challenge? Fuck, I'm getting a health back. Fuck these guys. You good, bro?
Playing the game, bro. That's what I'm doing.
Somebody do something with this. Oh, oh my god. That was crazy.
Let me BM. Let me BM. Let me have sex with objective 2.
What's that question mark? Nah, come on, man. You don't have to do all that. Next season, I might be going to eternity with the friend who is going to force me to play. Alright, bro. Heard that one before. W Strange combo. Fuck these frauds, bro.
Yeah, I've never done this with Venom. Where they at? Come on, Strange, beat him.
Now, last time it was GM solo. That's true. That's true. It was GM solo. How far did you get though? Like Diamond 1, Diamond 3?
Wolverine no passive? Let's get pinned.
Oh, Wolverine. No, that's my first death, bro. Fuck.
Maybe a bad dive then, if you died.
Yeah, I didn't need to do that. I did not need to do that.
It's okay, bro.
Oh, hell no.
That was a good dodge.
Damn, you got three of us?
Right click button. Okay, bro, I'm alive. I'm not alive for much longer.
Did he miss?
Of course he missed, bro. He's ass.
What the fuck was that?
He missed a point blank fucking pin. I'm diving the point, bro. Fuck it. Have fun.
It's okay, like 3 of them are up here, bro.
Somehow I flipped. I think Cyclops just saved me from Wolverine.
Oh, Jeff ult. I pressed the wrong button. I was pressing the alt button to press the fucking E button, bro. Oh my god, what am I cooking, bro?
Got my kill.
No! Oh, he had E anyways. I mean, oh, his fucking overshield, whatever the fuck.
You pinned me, but I held E for that reason. Okay.
Damn. He's locking in.
Cyclops get anyone with this?
He got one. He got their Cyclops with this.
I mean, it's a good 1-for-1. But...
I have my ult.
So, we'll have to get checkpoint there.
Bro, this Wolverine is on my dick and balls though 100% of the time, bro. Oh my god! You just cooked me with the Cyclops team up in the sky? Like, what the fuck was that, bro? I ain't never seen that shit before in my life, bro. We have motion? Can I just stay in spawn? No.
I would not do that.
On the
You
faith of
want
my
to, but I do not suggest it.
passive, fuck Wolf, bro. Yeah, fuck that guy, bro. Oh hell no.
Yeah, it's 1-for-1. Can we flip anyway? Okay, that was good.
Okay.
That Archranger or theirs?
That was me. Wolverine is running, bro. Unreal Ego.
Ego or Echo?
It's 2 G's, bro. Diamond 3, I stopped playing ranked after I hit Diamond, went back to Minecraft, bro. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. The grind
It's like
continues.
the best place to Cyclops ult, isn't it?
Down this little hallway, yeah, for sure. He did change his pronouns to helicopter. Fucking the Wolverine, bro. Helicopter. What did they ult there, bro? What the fuck? The fuck?
How did that fucking hit me? Oh, thanks.
Holy fuck, bro. Holy fuck, bro. Holy fuck, bro. No, you fucker. Oh my god.
How do you heal? That's really lucky.
The doctor is in.
Okay, we're close. 2 minutes. Let's get this last push.
Get the wolf, I mean the Loki ult.
Gotta shark, get back here. Okay.
Wolf dead.
Wolverine gone. Is that Blade ult?
Yeah.
Jeff refused to go in his own base.
Trying to hold it
Man,
down,
too
bro.
intelligent?
An IQ too high? Fuck.
By the eye of Agamotto.
Look dumb.
To me,
Cyclops just feeding, bro. Holy 16,000 damage.
holy Cyclops mod, bro. 17 last hits.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
I got one more in me.
It's just the same as the fucking tanks and the DPS combined, bro. Holy.
I got one more in me, and you know who I'm gonna play.
I think you can get him, bro. Fucking spam click that shit, bro. You snooze, you lose type shit, bro.
Nah, you think I'm talking about Cyclops?
Oh,
No.
you're talking about tank pool?
No.
The right heroes
Oh.
can make all the difference.
You know.
You
know who it is.
the OG. The big dog. Yeah, it's not Spider-Man, bro. It's not Spider-Man, bro. All Spooberman.
I can do this all day. I can do this all day.
Emma Styles on the team. Bro, they need to bring back that season 0 Thor Cap team up, bro.
Bro, every time I play with this Winter Soldier team up, no, they never use it. I'm like, bro, I need you to use it so I can like live.
My brother Loki imperils not just
Oh my god, this is such a good Deadpool map too, bro. Fuck my stupid Chungus team.
Bro, what do you mean we have one support, bro?
Oh, this is not support pool? Okay, it's over.
I thought it was, bro.
Okay. Can I even do this? Captain America? Let's find out.
Magic, you sorry for that?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thought you were a healer, DP.
Securing the mission area.
They have a dinosaur. They have a Punisher.
They have a Storm. They have an Iron Fist. Ooh, no. Holy fuck, my health bar. Where did it go, bro? Oh my god. That damage boost is fucked, bro. Cap and Thor Thunder Slap is needed. One from the movie? Oh yeah, the one from the movie, bro. That shit was crazy, bro.
Where's my fucking... Where's my Thor hammer, actually? Where's
Yeah.
fucking... That's what I need.
That's exactly what we need, bro. Get off my support.
Storm is not even kiting, bro. How is this allowed?
Oh my god, bro. No way. What is this gameplay, bro? Somebody help me.
Okay, we have a real cop now. DPS pool doesn't perform, I think.
We'll see. We'll see, bro. Let him get some upgrades and we'll see what happens.
He has a skin.
He's a Lord icon. I don't know.
On DPS pool, bro. Let's see it.
I mean, it's the same icon for all of them.
Yeah, but like it's like the worst one, isn't it? But what are the fucking objectives? Like, what are we doing back here?
I'm going to the
Kind of
point.
down.
I'm going to the point, guys.
It's okay.
They'll never
I
see it
died,
coming.
Thor.
They'll never see it coming. Oh, they saw it coming.
Okay. Dino's down.
They'll never see this great escape coming, though. They didn't see it coming.
They passed my fucking animation cancel, bro. I forgot.
How did she live? Oh, the fucking healing, bro. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Not the fucking... Oh, that's not... That's the last ult I need to see, bro.
That was DPS full gameplay. I'm already fucking dead.
Alright, hold on. Our whole team's dead?
Alright, just group.
Alright, we locked in. We locked in now.
Nah, I think maybe next spawn.
You fucking bitch, bro. Somebody kill this guy.
Where's Storm?
Somewhere around here.
Halle Berry. Where are you?
Hallelujah.
I'm gonna say click point auto.
Did we get him?
Try to
Did we get her?
I think she's gone.
They're coming. They're coming. They're coming.
Oh, they're coming already. We have Al Qaeda Knight.
Al Qaeda Knight and Al Qaeda Devil.
How's that bleed even real?
He's got sharp teeth, bro.
Okay, he's fucking extinct now. Nice zoning ult.
No, I fucking knocked the rocket back into it, bro. Jesus Christ.
Begin to ask for healing at full HP. I didn't mean to.
He's pre asking for the heals, you know?
Oh shit, we finally got a last hit. Let's fucking go.
Fucking sold that shit for me, bro. Fucking sold that shit.
I earned it, bros.
Yeah, I sold that one. I sold that one. It's even.
Fine, bro. I'm stacking my ult. We did good. We got like 4 minutes off their clock.
You guys remember when I was 1 and 3?
Got my combo yet again. I'm rusty. Anti-heal ruining Marvel items. Okay, thank God it did not ult, otherwise.
Oh shit, I'm dead. No. Wow, damn, our fucking Luna ulted like a second too late, bro.
Yo, that dino like Lord icon is crazy.
Yeah, that shit tough, bro. The animated one is crazy, bro.
I can do this all day. I think I might have to do that. Now my team's here. I'll launch it for a little bit.
Holy fuck, bro. No.
My whole team died. It's okay, I mean, like, we got like a bonus time. We got like 5 minutes off their clock.
Sure. Can hold this for 4 minutes. This one's easier to hold, kind of.
They used ults too, so.
I genuinely don't remember the Daredevil ulting in time. Who were you ulting on?
This guy ulted one person when his whole team was there.
And didn't kill him? Yeah, the whole team is right back here, bro. What the fuck?
Oh, check out fucking double kill? Holy fuck, Captain America's fucking broken nerf him right now. China, you seen this?
I've seen enough, bro.
Holy shit. Captain America got 2 kills and almost lived? Fucking just remove the character from the game, bro. Like, don't.
Sorry, I started playing like ass again.
My whole team died. Nice.
Okay, we got this. We can hold this for 3 minutes.
We're gonna lose this and we're gonna die. Hashtag.
Daredevil's gonna do something right now.
America. They fell for the oldest, quickest juke in the book.
No way, the dinosaur's back! Oh, I thought I fucking broke it, bro. I'm dead. I'm so dead. Why is bro chasing me? Okay. Guys, the thing is like right there. If it could not be, that'd be great.
I'm zoning the healers, but like my team's.
This Daredevil doesn't want to die.
Okay, good zoning ults. We have our
Again?
own Daredevil ults.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's just great, CND.
It's ours? Stay? I think we can alt cycle until mine.
Oh, that's not good.
The devil out, man.
I'm genuinely cooking some ass right now. Fuck. What?
Okay, I need...
That was
we lost.
That was a
We
bad
don't
play.
come back in time.
No, we don't. Unless Luna can. Never mind. Yeah, no, it's over. Damn. Daredevil diff. Might just be.
Nah, because, you know, it's Captain America's like a guaranteed loss. That's why.
But it's a rough one.
My proficiency.
Are you done?
Level 18. Am I going out like that? I'm not going out like that, bro. I'm not going out like that.
That's what I thought. In Moon Knight zoning alt, bro, definitely saved the fuck out of us. Huh?
Zoning alt, the second the checkpoint changed. On himself against one person. Didn't get the kill.
Did not get the
do
kill.
the zoning alt. It's the zoning alt.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Yeah. Let's lose fast.
I am beyond my pitiful creator.
Is this Jeff okay?
I am beyond everyone.
Eat nuts and kick butts.
Alright, bro, we get it.
Jeffrey.
I have to have a seizure, bro.
Alright.
We have one tank. Yeah, I think if they portal, it's over.
Day portal? Why would it be over, bro?
They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
Look at our DPS, bro. Look at us. We'll get it done,
I'm
bro. I mean,
running
if they portal, we got Loki totems to keep us alive. We got Iron Man and Squirrel Girl just fucking launching shit. That's all we need to do.
Loki's AFK and spawn.
Okay, yeah, it's over. Just forfeiting quick match, bro.
Just fucking forfeiting quick match. My fucking Jeff is frontlining though. He's fucking genius.
You got a motherfucker named Go Get a Job, bro. Go G the job.
They do have a strange.
Why did he say hi, Jeff? What does he know?
You heard him.
It was Spider-Man? Oh, okay. That guy, I can't fight. I can't fight that guy.
He's trying to fight me. Okay, we killed him. I live with 5 fucking HP. Thank you, Loki. Is this Venom?
I don't know what he's cooking, bro.
He's not even diving. Okay, he's dead. Let's peel off a little. Maybe Spidey's going over for a pick. Yeah, say don't push because they have Spidey.
Spidey and a Star-Lord. Annoying ass team, bro.
Got my execute off. Venom doesn't realize that you can't have a Cyclops. He's gotta learn next season, I think.
Maybe one of these days. You can't really know in quick match, bro.
Yeah, you guys made Captain America look fucking OP as fuck. 1 HP. He's gonna go health back, I think. Spider Sense is tingling. Oh, they have Gambit?
Okay, I'm gonna die here. Oh, I didn't die here. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, please.
Isn't this character good?
Which one?
Emma Bloodsmith?
Frost?
No, not the redhead on their team.
Oh, Elsa's Bloodstone. She got nerfed pretty. She's still okay, but like, if you don't know how to combos, then you're basically doing nothing.
Okay, I'm not gonna contest this actually. 6 on point.
The Deadpool team was pretty good, I guess, kind of. This is better than
Venom actually learned how to use his E. He found his dive.
Oh my god, they hit the fucking wall, bro. I think does Strange have ult or something? Why is he moving like that?
He has to, he hasn't used it yet. Deadpool's almost has all these B rank.
Holy fuck.
One, I guess. It's not really that good.
They're getting motion? I'm gonna die? Oh fuck. Oh, there's the ult. Damn, you got a bunch of people with that one.
And Deadpool doesn't even have ult anymore.
Oh, that's tough, bro. Merch piece merch.
I'm not done with this fight yet.
Jolly good show.
There's still a chance to stop them.
Thanks for hitting that my own team. How's he 1 HP alive?
What just happened, bro? And hold it down for 5 minutes, right? 6 minutes, right?
Now might be a good time to stop them.
Got blinded, otherwise I probably would have at least seen what killed me. I can guarantee you this Deadpool upgraded his fucking ultimate first. I can guarantee you that. The way he's playing.
The way he's barely used it.
Get Spidey down.
What the fuck happened to our team, bro? Oh shit.
We have a team?
I thought we were supposed to get one. Court mandated.
Okay. On my flipping point, more tanks are like KFK. Okay.
Don't give them another inch.
Us against the world.
Uh-oh.
Okay, bro, Jeff, you're right next to me, you're not even healing me. You're running back to respawn. And it's fucking Venom. I can never kill you.
Somebody help
Let me get to
me.
look down.
Jeff, I need you. Jeff, I need you. Jeff, please. Jeff, please. Jeff, please.
Hard.
Thank you. Not really. You solo
Say
taking your
Avatar?
DPS nuts. What is that? I don't know, bro.
Yeah, he's answering in all chat. That's what's happening. Okay, 4 minutes basically. Can we hold on? I do not think we can.
I'm sitting up straight now. Legs are uncrossed. We're locked in. Spider-Man in the body line. Oh fuck! He killed our Iron Man. Mind you, Lord Venom. Yeah, I don't know why Lord
We have Iron
Venom's
Man?
talking.
I feel like
We had all Iron Man this whole time, bro.
My teammate swallowed me when I'm about to kill both of them. Lord means nothing, TBH.
Bro, you're animated Lord, bro. You have like at least 200 hours on this character.
It means you don't have a life, bro. It means you've been
What
playing
the
since,
fuck, bro?
it means you've been playing since launch, bro. Okay, we wasted a minute or spent a minute.
Oh, fuck, this
Good news is
sorting, bro.
we bought time. The bad news is Punisher was the ultist and winning the game. Another good news is Detonator 90 GG is back on their team, and they're having
Can we
trouble.
humans be nice? That was the first part of the problem. Is you think these guys are human, bro?
Look at my teammates, bro. 3 of them just died to literally nothing.
Jeez.
I think this was a battle.
I'm out of here. Oh fuck, I'm out of here.
I tried to flip, bro. I'm sorry.
Not all good. Oh, I should have went back to spawn. I shouldn't have fucking gambled that. All my fault. If we lose this game, it's my fault because I just died, bro. Never mind. We got it. We got it. Hold on. Hold on.
I shifted away.
Oh shit, that's not good.
I shifted into the rock. I knew he was gonna do something the way he's up there. Iron Man ult, baby.
No, fuck. Iron Man out, please. Iron Man out, get bodies, please, please. Just dump it. Just dump it, bro. Please, just dump it, bro.
Didn't even press the Q button. They're so sweaty.
Bro, what? Loki, you had time to use that all? Bruh. Tough.
Bro, 4K healing on support?
How? How? Bro's got like half the like double the fucking healing over Deadpool, bro. What the fuck is happening? How we get teammates like these, bro? They don't even be healing, bro.
That ranked teammates? Holy shit. Is that me on support? Fucking DPS Luna?
Jesus Christ.
Alright. Well, looks like we're not with that. It's not, never mind.
No, we can't go out like that, bro. That was so bad.
Guess not, never mind. Wait, am I about to get murdered? What the fuck? Is this a pre-recorded stream? As your alibi? Pre-murder me?
Before I'm, are you are? Yeah.
The right heroes could make all the difference.
Actually got you in the trunk.
A Lord Spider-Man? Super Lord. Super Lord. Is that what it is? The red one?
Open your eyes.
Yeah, that's the champion icon. The champion badge, whatever the fuck it's called.
Champion C&D? Hitler? Okay, bro. Reflecting how little of a life we have? Nice, bro. There's gotta be a faster. Is there not like missions you can do to like actually unlock it?
I mean that's how you get experiences just doing the missions. Which is just like playtime, like final hits and just Shin Shibuya, bro.
Forgot, bro. You can block him? Oh, yo, I didn't know that.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
All right. The cap and even the more they have a fucking killed our Spider-Man. Our Gambit, their Gambit killed our Spider-Man, bro. Oh, they have a Rogue and Gambit with team up. Okay. Upset.
Get out of my fucking face, Cap.
They have a torch.
Johnny Storm. Holy fucking flame on!
They had a Johnny Storm. Flame off, bro.
My ship was down like 1 second.
I'm gonna die here. I'm dead here.
Our team just fucking lost this game.
The Spider-Man who's 0-2 in the first fucking minute, bro.
In my team.
How do you die in 40 seconds, bro?
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Oh shit. Fucking zoned out for a second. They have 7 minutes, bro. Hold, don't worry, we got this.
Can we look up one time and kill Johnny? Okay, good kill.
Oh, how did you push me, bro? Who pushed me? Who can do that? What the fuck? That was crazy. No matter. Oh, you guys are behind the wall. What the fuck?
Oh, that wall. So are they, though.
Can't be real people, bro. What the fuck just happened? Like, these guys know they have to go around the wall now, right? It's not gonna open back up and shit.
Yo, kill Namor's fucking family. Never fucking watched Black Panther in my life. Fuck, I'm sure.
I'm getting my ass beat. I'm dead. No.
Yeah, the whole team's dead, bro. Not me though. Spider-Man
Oh, Spider-Man all. Spider-Man all. Hold on. He's about to do nothing. Oh, okay. He got Cloak and Dagger.
I have unfinished business here.
Okay. Got Cloak and Dagger outside their spawn.
Captain America's trying to dive Cyclops. When are these Goyim gonna learn?
Hopefully never.
Is Captain
What is this
America
guy cooking, bro?
on acid? You're playing the worst character in the game, bro. Why are you guys acting like he's good?
More tentacles than Gargantos himself.
Oh, Rogue can ground you? For real? I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Keep looking at a fucking Human Torch, because
Is that us?
Moon Knight doesn't believe. Yeah, it is. Can we scout Johnny? Oh, that's not good.
No, you fucking bitch.
Gambit plus Captain America. I don't think that's good.
For us? No, that's horrible for us, bro.
Not for them either.
Oh no, I was gonna. I ulted them. They had to use it.
Okay.
To cleanse the rest.
I mean, 2
of
for
the
1 is
team.
pretty good, though.
Unfinished business here.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Did they Johnny Storm ult anytime recently?
Yeah, they just did. I heard a supernova.
There's that one.
That's gotta respect that.
Oh please, anybody heal. Oh no. Bro, who is my goddamn 3 and 5 blade, bro? How is that any better than your fucking 3 and 5 Spider-Man?
He's retired, bro. Retired. I panic ulted. I can't even leave my fucking spawn. Alright, just kill fucking Johnny, bro. This is way too annoying.
Holy fuck, dude. No, I didn't hit anybody with that.
Yeah, grounded right away. Holy shit.
With that, she quick with that.
Can we do 1 damage on fucking...
Anybody? No way, dude. Fuck. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Jeff, do something challenge. Jeff said.
If you do this, Johnny Storm can't do anything inside this building. The bad news is, the game is over. Alright, Blade, let's see it. My thing just tried to fight Johnny Storm.
Don't worry, bro. Wait till your Thor does it.
He has lost a 1v1 to fucking
I'm
Captain America.
so cooked in this corner. Oh my god. Jeff, I need you. Jeff, I need you. Holy fuck.
She have ult up again.
Jesus Christ, bro. Oh my god, it's over. It's over, dude. Yeah, I got 3 losses. I think we have to end there, bro. It's not getting any better. 4 and 9 blade, bro. 0 final hits for the tank, bro. What can you even do, bro?
10k damage. But we refuse to look up. So it's over.
Bro, our Spider-Man couldn't kill Human Torch for the life of him. How is that even possible?
Bro, you outperformed Captain America so no DPS? Yeah, I agree.
No DPS, bro.
Yeah, it's not like I outdamaged their Johnny Storm. They're in the more just stacking damage against
Bro,
the
Mr.
thing.
Monkey
Just
needs
go
to retire
AFK.
from this game, bro. The fuck?
And there's Alta 4 before we were HQ.
Oh, GG's, I guess.
I guess, bro. We're losers here at the end, but it is what it is.
What happens?
Could be worse, bro. Could be my ranked game.
Fair enough. Alright, later.
Better.